For that and more, we are joined by NewsNation contributor Tracy Walder. She is also a former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
So we are talking about 6 days the sheriff's office waited to tell the public, and you say the biggest issue here is the lack of transparency, the secrecy about his mistaken release. Why do you think waiting that long was a mistake?
I do understand the tactical advantage that they wanted, which was really his girlfriend who had picked him up, provided him with a cell phone, and provided him with necessities that he may have needed really to be out on the run. That part I understand, but maybe for about 24 hours, because we know after that he switched phones. And I think at that point, really, there was no tactical advantage anymore, and there was too much of a danger to the public. Look, here in Texas, we had a case in May of 2022 where an escaped convict, not enough information was given to the public, and he killed a family of 5 when he broke into their home and stole their guns because the doors weren't locked. They didn't know that he was out on the loose, and the public does deserve to know. I think 6 days is way too long here.
Yeah, so in your mind, there is such a clear threat to public safety that it outweighs any tactical advantage that they're referring to.
Yes, I think after a day, it really does. I understand the secrecy for 24 hours to track his movements through his girlfriend. But after that, it really wasn't of use anymore to try to locate him because he had really switched phones and wasn't in contact with her any longer. And really, the public should have been made aware after that 24 hours.
Let's talk about his girlfriend. It seems like at this point, officials are closely watching her. He called her to pick him up when he thought he was free. She was arrested on Wednesday of suspicion of assisting a criminal. And you mentioned, she did do these things. She bought him clothing, she bought him toiletries, she got him a cell phone. Can she realistically continue to be held? Did she explicitly do anything wrong by buying these things for him, picking him up, when at the start everyone thought that he was free to go?
That's a really interesting question, Natasha, and the thought has absolutely gone through my mind as well. Again, I am not an attorney, but from a law enforcement perspective, my guess was they were initially holding her on those sort of aiding and abetting charges to garner as much information as they could from her as to his whereabouts. And that part I potentially understand, but I'll be very interested to see if they charge her additionally and ultimately keep her incarcerated, as I'm not sure that that's warranted here unless he explained to her that he was released accidentally. He may have not explained that to her, although my gut tells me that he probably did.
Yeah, and we do see these sort of protections when it comes to spouses in terms of not testifying, for example, against your spouse. Is there any sort of protection for her? I mean, officials have said that she is not cooperating with the investigation. Can she be compelled to cooperate here?
Oh, I'm sure she's going to be compelled to cooperate at some point. Look, she's not legally his spouse, so those protections really don't apply to her here. However, I do think that what they may do is, now that she is fully obviously aware that he was incorrectly released and that he is a danger to the public, if she doesn't help, they may charge her with additional charges at that point.
Okay. Do you think that we are seeing a spike in these sorts of clerical errors and these escapes in this country? And what do you think is behind it?
I absolutely think that we are. I mean, really, it first started with Casey White, I think, about 16 months ago or so, when he escaped in Alabama. And, it's really just continued since then. But really, the issue is kind of bigger at hand here. And what we're seeing is, prisons are woefully understaffed. Prison guards are underpaid. No one wants these jobs. They're too risky, and they can find a higher paying job someplace else. And I completely understand that. Also, in the case of Cavalcante, that prison had escape issues in the past. The prison itself did add additional structural fortifications, but they're not accounting for the human factors of low staff, people being on cell phones, those kinds of things. We can keep adding all these structures, but if the guards themselves aren't able to be there and triple check these things, it's really not of any use to us. And I think that's why we're seeing this spike.
Okay. Tracy Walder, appreciate the insight and time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.